What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you have some sort of sports team in your life that isn't the Dallas Cowboys that can provide you some level of joy, satisfaction, and potentially even pride. It is our Dallas Cowboys postgame show here in the Bleacher Report app, the very best app in the world of sports. I use it to keep track of all my favorite teams, including the ones that I am proud of, which incidentally today on Sunday includes Manchester United. Who would have thought that at some point in time, Manchester United will be headed in a more sound, logical, legitimate direction than the Dallas Cowboys? But I suppose anything is possible. You can follow me in the BR app right down below. You can also follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. Email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com if you want to feel like Elle Woods in Legally Blonde with the big old MacBook, the ones that used to have the colors on the back. You know what I'm talking about? Or you can just follow along right here. We're here, obviously, to discuss the Dallas Cowboys' loss on Sunday to the Philadelphia Eagles, their latest. Again, loss is not really a strong enough word. You can't really say the Dallas Cowboys played a game. I think the Dallas Cowboys went out there and just embarrassed themselves. The Dallas Cowboys went out there and were an indictment against football, certainly, an indictment against competitiveness, an indictment against those things that I mentioned when talking about Manchester United: sound reason, logic, objectivity, data-driven things. The Dallas Cowboys on Sunday afternoon were the latest installment of the Dallas Cowboys that are a weekly embarrassment, a weekly circus, a weekly facade, a weekly joke. That is what we were exposed to now, just forever, seemingly. Chris Maywalt 109 in the chat says season's a wrap. Pretty sad when they're getting blown out and Parsons is laughing on the bench. I'm certain that Micah will receive some tweets from people having thoughts about this, and I'm certain that he'll discuss it on the edge this week here in the BR app as well. And that's, look, whether you have an opinion on that, Chris, or you don't, and I'm not, here to tell you that you should or shouldn't feel a certain way, but those things all become bigger things when you're losing, right? Those things all become much larger, much more magnified, much more grandiose things when you're losing and getting embarrassed. This tweet was floating around, or this stat, this note. Shout out to ESPN's Todd Archer. Shout out to Babe Loffenberg of the Dallas Cowboys radio broadcast. Both tremendous at what they do. The Dallas Cowboys, my friends, in this game against the Philadelphia Eagles, trailed by 20 points, at one point in time. They obviously lost by 28 points. It is the fifth game. The fifth game in a row. Now, to be clear, this dates back to last year, but the fifth game in a row at home for the Cowboys. So all games occurring at AT&T Stadium in which the home team trailed by at least 20 points. So that means the playoff loss, the playoff game, a game where you win or go home, the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers, which broke this franchise. It must be so satisfying, by the way, to be a Green Bay Packers fan and watch a team that is technically your rival, although right now I would offer that the Cowboys are more their little brother than anything. But to watch your team swirling because you broke them beyond such a level of comprehension that they don't know what to do with themselves. But the Green Bay Packers playoff loss this season we're now into now, obviously, the losses against the New Orleans Saints, who are so bad that they literally today won their first game since the game in question that I'm talking about. They had lost 7 games in a row themselves, overall games, obviously. But the Green Bay Packers playoff loss, the New Orleans Saints game, the Baltimore Ravens game, the Detroit Lions game, which was over a month ago now at this point in time. And finally, obviously, today against the Philadelphia Eagles. And each and every single one of those, the Dallas Cowboys have trailed by 20 or more points. They've obviously lost all 5 of them. This team is a joke. This team, you can throw out anything you want, and you won't be wrong. This team is soft. This team is not creative. This team is inept. This team is broken. This team is sad. This team is bad. I mean, take a look at this game, at what they did or didn't do here. All right, let's look at the Dallas side of things. Let me zoom in over here, and we have some things to get to relative to the rushing department. But Rico Dowdle last week in Atlanta, in the loss there, 12 carries, 75 yards. Obviously, that's over 6 yards a carry. Rico became the first Cowboys running back to have at least 12 carries for at least 6 yards a carry. He had 6.5, by the way. But he became the first Cowboys running back to do that since Tony Pollard on Thanksgiving Day last year. So what was his reward? You can't touch the ball too much, Rico, because Zeke has to get his touches. All right, those are the rules around here. Rico Dowdle only touching the ball 12 times, despite the fact that he went for 4.4 yards per carry. At one point, he was over 5. I have no idea why Rico Dowdle didn't touch this football more in this game, except I have every idea why. It's because there is a player on this team who the front office loves and who the front office is going to make sure gets his due. At least that's our general theory as a football fandom, because how could it be anything else at this point in time? How could anybody seriously, cognitively believe? And look, I hate to say things like this because Zeke Elliott authored a lot of wonderful memories for all of us here, right? But who out there can prove that he is a sound and legitimate option for the Cowboys at this point in time? Nobody can do this. He had 6 carries for 22 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. It's a disaster anytime he touches the football at this point in time. The true disaster is the quarterback position. And for all of you, jokesters out there who told me or told anyone that Dak Prescott was trash and you can feel that way you want, whatever, and Cooper Rush would be better, I feel badly for Cooper Rush because this was a tough assignment, but it's because he's Cooper Rush. And again, I mean that with all due respect. 13 of 23 for 45 yards, a 61.7 rating. Trey Lance did finally get in. I have thoughts on this. We're just kind of 30,000-foot perspectiving things for a moment here. 4 of 6 for 21 yards, had an interception. Cooper Rush had 2 fumbles. It was horrible. From a receiving standpoint, CeeDee Lamb, my goodness, if you started CeeDee in your fantasy league, I don't blame you. You have to do it. You can't not play CeeDee Lamb. You probably took him with my watch is freaking out over here. It heard me saying everything, heard me going on this diatribe. I see you, Big J70, fly, Eagles fly. Big J70, all due respect, you can't hurt us right now. Your trolling is ineffective here. We hate this team more than you do, but I think that this team hates us more. Jerry Jones said he won't make a coaching change during the season. I see this tweet from Pro Football Talk, Shereen Williams, in case anybody's curious about that. So heads up there. But from a receiving standpoint, what a brutal day. I mean, just absolutely brutal. 6 receptions for 21 yards for CeeDee. Jake Ferguson led the way with 4 receptions for 24 yards. 3 receivers, or pass catchers even. 3 pass catchers who had 10 yards or more. Think about that. think about that. 3 players who had 10 yards or more. Let's zoom in from my guy Big J over here to the Eagle side of things. From a rushing perspective, what a shocker. Saquon's awesome, 14 carries, 66 yards in a game that he really didn't even have to do all too much. And Jalen Hurts was magnificent in this game, especially from a rushing perspective. 7 carries, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns himself. From a passing standpoint, he was marvelous. 14 of 20, 202, 2 touchdowns. Did have the interception was incredible from Trayvon Diggs. My goodness gracious. This game was so bad. And the Dallas Cowboys are such a joke. Davis, I see you asking about Mike McCarthy in the chat. As noted, Jerry Jones just said after the game, because he has to hold his post-game press conference there in the bowels of AT&T Stadium, where the team now has a 5-game streak of 20-point deficits or larger. But that being said, the Cowboys, I don't know why you can't see this on your screen. Let me zoom out a little bit here. That might help. The Cowboys are so bad and such a joke at this point in time that Kenny Pickett got in this game. Look, it's one thing when a team puts you in garbage time, all right? It's one thing to be relegated to garbage time, right? It's a whole different level of disrespect, and I'm saying this as a compliment to your team, Big J70, who has joined us in the chat. Thank you for your time. I hope your day's going well. I hope everybody's day's going well, as mentioned at the very top here. It's a whole different level of disrespect to get put into garbage time with Kenny Pickett calling the shots. That is a new low for the Dallas Cowboys. Now here, look, we kind of got to go through this here. We got to autopsy this thing. As much as I don't want to and as much as you don't want to, we hate this team that much. We care this much, all right? Look, I'm going to show you the possessions in this game, and I'm going to show you where everything broke for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, to be clear, before you get your jokes off and blah, 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 the Cowboys are probably never going to win this game. The season is over. There's no cope or hoping happening around here, but in a literal transactional way, this is where this game was lost for the Dallas Cowboys. What you're looking at here are the possessions for the Cowboys. These are the possessions that they had in this game, all right? So punt, obviously, started the game. Then they fumbled. That was the botch snap and everything. That was one play and whatever. What you want to look at right here is this possession, the 4th possession for the Dallas Cowboys, the one they got by way of the Cooper Rush interception. All right. This was a work of art. I mean, yes, was the drive aided by some penalties for the Dallas Cowboys? Certainly. I'm not going to deny that whatsoever, but they started at their own 20-yard line, the Dallas Cowboys here. I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. This is the one we're talking about here. Started at their 20-yard line across 13 plays, moved 63 yards. 63 yards this team amassed. That might as well be 100 miles to this team. So the fact that they moved 63 yards is huge. 77 net yards here. And what that means, the reason I bring this up is because you have to capitalize. You have to score. You have to cash in when you have moved the ball that much on one particular drive. When you are this inept as an offense, you have to score. I'm sorry, but those are the rules. You are not good enough to burn up opportunities. You are not good enough to throw away chances. You are not good enough to have mistakes. And what happens on a drive where Rico Dowdle's running the football well and Cooper Rush is kind of finally starting to get a little bit comfortable a few possessions in? The Cowboys insist we have to have our 3rd best at best running back active in this game, despite the fact that there was a national investigation into the matter last week when Zeke Elliott didn't travel to Atlanta and the disciplinary issues and all that jazz. All right. We have to have him touch the ball. And what happens? Boom. fumble, possession loss, no points, the worst possible outcome. And amazingly, by the grace of Micah Parsons, the Cowboys get the ball right back. You see this, they pick the ball up because of a fumble. Micah's amazing. That drive began where the last one ended. They literally picked up right where they left off on the Philadelphia 6-yard line. And you know what the first play was? I mean, it was now 8 years ago that the man calling this game, Tony Romo, infamously said that football is a meritocracy. It could not have been further from this when Zeke Elliott was handed the ball on the very first play after he fumbled into the end zone. And what happens after Zeke Elliott's fumble that caused the Cowboys a whole level of dysfunction and then getting the first carry on the ensuing drive? Of course, the sun is an issue. And if you're somebody here who's carrying the water for the front office and saying, well, what about teams who play outside? I'm not here doing a show for you to talk about teams who play outside. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that other teams don't deal with their own situations and their own ramifications. What I'm here to tell you is that this issue, the sun that blinded CeeDee Lamb, forget what it is. Forget that it's the sun. Pretend it's the air condition. Pretend it's just the level of gravity. It's not 9.81 meters per second squared in the building for whatever reason. Whatever the variable is a controllable variable. And that is my issue. And the issue of so many different people is that this is something that is in the direct control of the people who claim to want the best interest of the team above all else, when you know that's not true. Because I'll admit to you, the photos that end up, kind of coming out of the sun, they're badass. They look awesome. All right. The photos are amazing and they're incredible. And they're probably in art galleries all over the place. We know that Gene Jones has the art gallery in this building because we hear it every single time they're on national television, but they refuse to help the team, which is a stupid thing to complain about. I fully recognize this, but it is emblematic and representative and a microcosm of the dysfunction that is the Dallas Cowboys. DH_45 in the chat says, so jealous of the entire Eagles operation. They are so aggressive acquiring talent. I feel like they have an average quarterback, and it doesn't even matter because they are always searching for every possibility to give themselves an edge. Such a blaring difference from our team with some mad emojis. I don't disagree with the words you said. And we can sit here and we can bicker about whether Jalen Hurts is or isn't average or is amazing or is top 5 or is top whatever. And to your point, DH_45, he doesn't have to be anything more than average because he's flying the Iron Man suit, right? Like that's what Howie Roseman designs for him. And you know what happens? Sometimes Howie Roseman, he goes out and he signs Devin White and it doesn't work out. But you know what? He'll keep swinging. He'll keep trying. He'll keep trying to make this roster better while the Cowboys continue to flail in who they are. This whole thing was designed. And I'm making sure that Jerry Jones doesn't say something here. Jerry Jones said after the loss, he won't make a change to fire McCarthy, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Cool, whatever. I mean, at this point, let's switch to this point here, because I know there are a lot of you out there who are tweeting things, who are saying things, who are commenting things, who are chanting things like fire Mike McCarthy. All right, I get it. I understand. It's a frustrating situation. But to you, I ask, what good will that do? And I don't say this from a point of defending Mike. All right, this team clearly needs a new head coach beyond the other levels of dysfunction that they currently have encircling them. But what does that do? What does that accomplish? And more than that, who do you think is fit to run this team? Again, this isn't trying to say McCarthy is awesome and you should respect him. But who on earth do you think that is on this staff that should be given that opportunity? Do you really think that Mike Zimmer, who has overseen 4 of the 5 games in which they've had 20-point deficits in their home building, do you think Mike Zimmer is the answer? Because I tell you, the only people who think that Mike Zimmer is an answer these days, it's the team who employs him, the Dallas Cowboys. Way back when, rewind the clock, check my tweets, check my articles, check whatever you want. I was flabbergasted, and I don't like to be the I told you so guy. But the Cowboys did this because it was comfortable to them. They brought back Mike Zimmer because he's a friend. They brought back Zeke Elliott because he's one of their favorites. They brought back all their favorites, and they didn't do anything serious. And wow, what a surprise. That didn't work out. You're 3-6 in the laughingstock of the NFL. This we could all see coming from a mile away. Full-time 77 says this organization is run so bad, it's flat out embarrassing. It's more than that they're run so poorly, all right? It's one thing to be football people and try to do something and to fail, right? We will laugh at that and we will poke at that and we will certainly mock and make our jokes. Look at the New York Giants as an example, right? They have tried, they have made decisions, and they've blown up in their faces, and they failed. But you know what? At least Joe Shane and at least Brian Daboll are qualified, and at least they're trying. At least they signed Devin Singletary in free agency. At least they traded for Brian Burns. The Daniel Jones contract is a whole different discussion that we don't have to launch into right now, but at least they made a decision. They made a decision on Saquon Barkley. They made football decisions that they believed were based in the best interest of their team based on some level of reason that they had. Now, they were wrong on some of these things, certainly, and I cannot believe that I'm jealous of the New York Giants, but that's where the Cowboys are. They're not only a dysfunction, they're a dysfunction that is masquerading to be a legitimate operation here. They're a dysfunction that isn't actually qualified to be doing what they're doing relative to their peers and to their contemporaries, and we're seeing that play itself out over and over and over and over again. I don't know where the Cowboys draft pick is right now. In fact, I can look this up for you. NFL Tankathon. So the Dallas Cowboys currently, obviously we have Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football to go, but the Dallas Cowboys at present moment hold the 11th overall pick. I don't think this is updated. It is updated. Still, the 11th overall pick. Cool. I bring that up to say, because the 4th round pick, the one they traded just a few days ago, like 5 minutes ago, that pick's going to be like near the top 100. That pick could have been somebody viable to help them out. And I hate that this all is said as an indictment of sorts against Jonathan Mingo, but is Jonathan Mingo going to be like this difference maker that was totally worth it? Maybe, but the overall overwhelming possibility or probability, I should say, is that probably not, because the last dude who they deemed was so worth that cause and so worth that investment, and to be more blunt and more specific, so worth that roll of the dice, they trolled us by bringing him out for 2 plays. Let's get to this for a minute here, because the score is 28-6, and everything is bad. Everything is stupid. Everything is dumb. We hate this team. We can't believe how broken this team is, and Thanksgiving is still a week and a half away. All right, more than that. All right, we cannot believe it, but we've just had it up to here with this team. We're so fed up, and we're saying, if you don't bring in Trey Lance right now, I'm going to scream so loud at this team, right? We're all saying that. We're all thinking that in our heads. And so what happens? The Cowboys, all the local reporters, everybody's tweeting out, it's Trey Lance time, baby. All right, thank God, because no offense to Cooper Rush, we're done with this. Trey Lance trots out, and the CBS broadcast actually shows Cooper Rush going, whoa, what's going on? Trey's in, I'm out. That kind of sucks. And we're all sitting here thinking, look, they're going to lose this game, but at least we get to see something. Trey Lance, of course, runs the ball, is in for 2 total plays, one of which involves a penalty, because of course it does, because it's the Dallas Cowboys, and then they yank him. I swear, we got trolled by this team. This team hates us more than we hate them, to the point that they said, you know when Jim's, I reference this all the time, in The Office, talking about the thing, the smug little whatever, he's like, oh yeah, and he stood there all smugly. That's how the Cowboys were. You want to see Trey Lance? You really think he'll be the answer? Here's Trey Lance. Yeah, you excited? You enjoying Trey Lance out there for these 2 plays? It's Cooper Rush time. All right, this is absurd. This is ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that this is actually happening to us in real life, yet somehow, some way, we did something to deserve this. Harry Johnson 5150 says, what would you draft in the first round, O-line or running back? I say O-line. There are a lot of good backs in the draft. Harry, this isn't against you. If this team takes a running back in the first round, we have the right to riot. All right. I know that everybody's in love. All right. We don't have to go down that road either. I know that you're in love. I know you have a favorite running back in the draft. I know you believe that it is going to be special and it'll be different this time around. The last time we let this team fall in love with a running back, they brought him back on a second contract and insisted he get the ball at the goal line on the 6-yard line after a 63-yard drive. And he fumbled it through the end zone, not even through the end zone. And he fumbled it into the end zone and just kind of served as a weight on this offense. All right. So we do not want to go down the running back path. You could have used that 4th round pick that you should have had, that should still be in your back pocket. You could have totally used that. You could have used that last year on a running back. That was where the run happened on running backs in 2024. But the Cowboys didn't have that pick because they insisted. They were smug. Oh, this Trey Lance trade, we're so smart. We're going to use this as leverage against Dak Prescott. And then you know what we're going to do? We're going to pay Dak on the day that the season begins, baby, after we put you through an entire offseason and preseason period of pure and total unadulterated toxicity, because that's how we like it. I know you said, Harry, that you wanted offensive line in the first round. I just using your point as a point to say, don't be the person that suggests a running back in the first round. We've already been through this. All right, what you're suggesting, people, not Harry, because Harry said he wanted an offensive lineman. What you're suggesting, if you want an offensive line, or excuse me, if you want a running back in the first round, is you're Andy Dufresne saying, you know, I'm out here in the rain and it feels great and everything, but I think I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to crawl back and then, you know, try to get back into the cell and everything. That's what you would be doing if you drafted a running back in the first round. Bo Maldo 77 says it's not about winning with Dallas. It's about making money, which they do well. That's, I mean, I guarantee you, I will guarantee this game that we just watched, if you want to call it a game, is going to be like the 3rd most watched game of the year. And if you saw the coverage maps, I think like 5 people in the country got Cardinals Jets. All right. That's kind of the way that this thing tends to go. All right. This game is going to have the most stupid, unbelievable, just absolutely insane numbers from a television standpoint, and it's going to get even worse. All right. I've been telling you this in the streams I've been doing here in the BR app, which is why you should follow me, because I do a lot of them and I like doing these and they're fun and everything like that. You should follow me on social media. But I've been telling you, this game going to have stupid numbers. Next week's on Monday Night Football. All right. I guarantee you it's going to be the highest rated Monday Night Football game of the year at that point in time, at least. The week after that is a Sunday noon kickoff, but it's in Washington. I would not be stunned if it's similar to the CBS game where basically the entire country gets it because Dan Quinn will dunk all over the Cowboys. The game after that is on Thanksgiving Day, people, and it's on Thanksgiving Day. The America's Game of the Week crew, Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi. And in case you don't know, in case you don't track these sorts of things, the most watched television program in a given year, not sporting event, not football game, television program, is the Super Bowl. That goes without saying. Number 2 on that list, the Dallas Cowboys game on Thanksgiving Day. And guess when the Dallas Cowboys play? After Thanksgiving Day. They're back on Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's such a festivity that they're getting the alternate Simpsons broadcast thing on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. So nothing is changing on that front. And this front office, Jerry, you'll have to go on the radio on Tuesday and I'll have to say, you know, it's Sunday, it's frustrating and I'm sad and I'm mad and I'm upset for Cowboys fans. Then do something about it, man. You're the guy who holds the keys. You're the one who has the brush that painted us into this corner. You are the one. We are trapped at your beck and call. It's frustrating and it's ridiculous and it's amazing that this thing works this way, but it is the fundamental, unavoidable truth of it all. Rainbowski, I think that's how it's pronounced, as Raider fan here, coming in peace. I enjoy the content. Hilarious, LOL. I'm so happy that we can do something to provide you some level of entertainment because that's the motto. That's the MO, the modus operandi. I think that's what it's called. Forgive me if somebody knows the proper term, but that's the MO of the Dallas Cowboys. Who cares about the actual results, baby? As long as you're entertained, as long as the movie does $1 billion at the box office, who cares about the plot of Avengers 5, right? Did you see that we're the #1 rated movie for the 22nd week in a row? That's how this thing works. And I didn't mean for that to be an incidental shot at the MCU because I'm in the middle of rewatching Deadpool Wolverine. I'm very excited to finish it up tonight because I need something to pick my spirits up after this whole disaster. CFC Blue Bloods, a Chelsea fan. Hey, interesting match today. Not an Arsenal fan myself, so I'm happy for you. Some of my best friends are Chelsea supporters, so I hope you enjoyed it. Since we like the guys we have in the locker room, Jerry Jones probably. Here's a tweet with a quote from Jerry Jones from the Athletics' John Machota. Let me pull it up here on my other computer. Says a frustrated Jerry Jones had some comments. Okay, I'm reading this for the first time with you all because you all mean that much to me. So this is John Machota's tweet from The Athletic. Here we go. A frustrated Jerry Jones had some comments about the sun impacting play at AT&T Stadium. The quote is, by the way, we know where the sun... I'm sorry. I know I'm reading this with you for the first time, but my eyes got ahead. By the way, we know where the sun is going to be when we decide to flip the coin or not. We do know where the damn sun is going to be in our own stadium. The fact that Jerry used the word damn, by the way, means like the dam without the N is starting to break a little bit here. So he was asked, apparently, according to John Machota, why not put curtains up over the windows? And Jerry said, well, let's tear the damn stadium down and build another one. Are you kidding me? I bet you would want that, Jerry. I bet you would love to tear down the stadium and use taxpayers' money and everybody else's money to build a brand new stadium because, let's be honest, this one's kind of old, people. This stadium's sneakily 15 years old. But anyway, Jerry's quote continued, everybody has got the same thing. Every team that comes in here has the same issues. I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. What do you mean almost a year in advance? The sun doesn't, okay. I'm not a scientist or I don't know, a sunologist, but someone asked me about the sun. What about the sun? Where's the moon? Jerry's talking stocks, people. Wow. Look, I'm going to say this again because I live this. You live this for the most part. Those of you here in the chat, those of you watching, etc. All right. But I understand there are some people who like to go and watch and enjoy and just kind of experience our misery and laugh at it. Rainbow Bowski was among them. Our complaint. I'm gonna say something really arrogant here and say that I speak for everyone who feels the way I do here. I'm gonna speak for everyone here. All right. I have a microphone in front of me, so that's allowed. Our complaint is not that the sun exists. Our complaint is not that nobody understands where the sun rises, where the sun sits. We can all understand this. All right. You seemingly, Jerry Jones and Cowboys, cannot admit that you made a little bit of a whoopsie when you built your $1 billion stadium. That's fine. That's okay. It happens. We've all been there. We've all, laid the concrete before being fully set and gone, crap, we're stuck. Our issue is that this is a controllable thing. Like I said a little while ago, pick whatever you want it to be. All right. Pick anything. If your complaint is, man, I just really hate how the quarters are 15 minutes. That's really stupid. What? I mean, like that would be stupid, right? Like that would be dumb because you can't change that. That's beyond your control, right? We can all understand that. We can all compartmentalize that. We can all make sense of that, right? That would be a dumb and a silly thing to complain about because it's not something that is able to be changed, adjusted, modified, completely avoided, whatever. But if your complaint was, I'll give you an example. Here's an actual example. All right. Now, this upsets a lot of you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm really not, but I'm a Houston Astros fan. All right. Now, say what you want, make your jokes, whatever. But a few years ago, you're the Astros. Year we won the World Series, second time because the first one was real. All right, not going down that rabbit hole, but you get my point. In 2022, Houston Astros won the World Series. Big reason for that was Framber Valdez. And I'll make this quick for those of you who aren't baseball fans, aren't Astros fans, whatever. Framber Valdez was an amazing pitcher for the Houston Astros in 2022. He was the World Series winning pitcher when they won Game 6 against the Phillies when Yordan Alvarez turned that game upside down. The Astros, in case you don't know, have several uniforms, just like every team in Major League Baseball. They have a white one, they have a gray one, they have Space City one, which was their City Connect, whatever it's called. But they have a blue one that they traditionally wear, the Houston Astros, on Sunday afternoons. When they play at home on Sundays, they generally wear this blue jersey. All right, it's blue tops, the tequila sunrise colors, all this stuff. Framber Valdez, one of the best pitchers on their team that year. All right, and really ever since. You get my point. He liked those jerseys. Those were his favorite. He liked those. He liked the way it felt. He liked the way it was. He felt they were lighter than the other jerseys from a weight standpoint. And so sometimes he'd be up to pitch in different situations that weren't those Sundays, and it was time for the Astros to wear a different jersey. And you know what the Astros said? You know what they did? They said, well, Framber, if you like those blue jerseys, man, we'll just wear those. When you're up to pitch, when you're up in the rotation, we'll wear those jerseys. The night they won the World Series was not a Sunday afternoon, and they wore those jerseys. Why? Because the person who was going to be most in charge of helping them win a game thought that it would make him just a little bit better. All right, you cannot be an Astros fan, but I think the point still lands with you where you can say, you know what? That's a smart decision from a team, from the people who aren't playing, who aren't involved, helping the people who are to help them win. So let's get back to this Sun issue. CeeDee Lamb, the CBS broadcast literally shows this, is saying, dude, yeah, the sun's in my eyes. I can't see anything. Like, this is crazy. I know I'm a better wide receiver than that. I should have caught that ball, but the sun's in my eyes. Jerry Jones out here talking about the moon. All right, the moon is not the issue here. The issue is that the sun is a controllable thing, and you can fix it if you just quit moving the goalposts. Just do something about the thing that is hindering your team. And did it impact the Philadelphia Eagles today? Sure, I think so. I think if you watch this game, I think it's very fair to say that it impacted Jalen Hurts. Besides the fact that that's really stupid and unfair as well, and no opponent should have to deal with this, all right? You could talk about, crowd advantages and things like that of that nature, whatever the case may be. Despite that fact, Jalen Hurts only has to play here once a year, right? So, even if you want to live in this deluded, weird, warped logic and say, well, you know what? Every team's got to deal with it, all right? We strategize around the sun. Why are you spending time strategizing around the sun? Why does the sun should never be a bullet point in a meeting, in a strategy session, to where you say, okay, well, we want to make sure we do this. We want to make sure, but at this point of the game, we've established this, we've done this, et cetera, et cetera. Also, we really have to make sure that, an hour and a half beforehand, if we win the coin toss, that we, orchestrate and set ourselves up to where the sun is at our back, because this, that, and the third. That's so dumb. Why is this a thing? Why? And then why would you brag about it being a thing? That is our issue with the Sun, people. And that is the issue with the Dallas Cowboys at large. It's so, I don't want to say all, because that's an overreaction. I can't say that all of this season, all of this mess was predictable and controllable by the Dallas Cowboys, because they have played poorly. Dak Prescott played poorly. For a while, CeeDee Lamb played poorly. Injuries were a factor. You cannot say that all of this was avoidable, but you can damn sure say that 70 to 80% of it was. You can damn sure say that the Cowboys set their team up to fail and didn't do the controllable things that everybody was asking them to do in the name of helping their team. The world is the sun, and the Dallas Cowboys have all the curtains in it, and they refuse to put them up. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's arrogant. It's hubris. It's just, how is it a thing still that we're dealing with? I'm really flabbergasted that this sun thing how could you refute it? Okay. The Cowboys lost, and I'm clearly upset. And you're upset. And at least we have the Red Zone channel next Sunday. At least we have that. And at least I have all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Talking Dallas Cowboys. This was a little bit of therapy for me. So thank you very much. You'll be getting I'll be getting your bill, I guess. If you want to bill me or you want to hit me up, you can follow me in the BR app right down below. You can see all the teams that I root for, including the Houston Astros. If you want to follow me and hang out with me on social media, you can do so. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa. On TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. If email is more your thing, you can hit me up, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. This team is bad. It is very bad. And, I'll keep talking about them. that's kind of the plan. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. Hope you have a great rest of your week and hope you have a great week. And by the way, I will be at the Cowboys-Texans game on Monday Night Football. So if you're going to be there, hit me up. You know how to do so. And we'll see you next time.